So hello everybody, it is me, Demetra K, on the Demetra K Show, because it is Sunday, and Donovan, the recovering Democrat, with his cat, it was that Misty? That's Misty? Okay, because he has two black cats, Misty and T'Challa, so that is Misty, and I guess she's going to be our third co-host today. So I'd like to say thank you, as always, to Donovan for everything that he does, and to Marcus Guyton for everything that he does behind the scenes and helping to make the show go further. And also to YouTube and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You guys make this so much more fun. And this is one of two shows that I know of personally. The other one is Free Flow Friday with Donovan, that we read all of the comments in the comment section because we feel like you should be heard as well, opposed to just sitting and watching me and Donovan talk, for the next hour and a half or so. So we will read your comments, questions, and concerns. And so we are talking today about we really have no friends. And of course, I'm going to get into why I chose that topic today. But before we do, Donovan, what's going on with you?
Welcome to Demetra K Show on a Sunday. We thank you guys for joining in with us. Why I feel so melancholy, because it's amazing that you came up with this topic, because that's exactly how I feel after a very exhaustive and long week. We have no friends, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But if you guys have been following the shows that we're on, I've been sitting on the couch all week. That's how drained I am in regards to what is going on, the messages that the new black media's put out, the Demetra K, the War Zone, all these other stuff. I mean, it is just draining. It's frustrating. It's, are we ever going to get it? I mean, they don't even hide it anymore. It's blatantly right in our faces, and it's just super, super frustrating. And, I just wanted to make sure that, Demetra, you're not just paranoid and what you're saying is not true. I stayed up all early this morning, and I went through the Congressional Black Caucus's Facebook page. Not one statement in regards to George Floyd. It's all about the vaccines. It's all about let's take pictures. Let's do this. Not one statement. Then I went to the organization of the Alpha Kappa Alpha, AKA, which is a group that Kamala Harris is a part of. Not one statement in regards to chastising her for the statements she made in regards to there is no racism in America. I mean, it's frustrating. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Maybe our friends here will have a difference of opinion and maybe cheer me up today. So we'll see.
All right. And so, hello, Sunlight. How are you? And Rick C., how you doing? And if you guys are in the watch parties or watching it somewhere other than the actual live stream, click on the link that it says M. Olandis Guyton has put up there. That's for you guys on Facebook, and it'll bring you directly here, and I can read your comments. And so I want to go ahead and get right into it. We really have no friends. I actually stole that from John Henrik Clarke. You guys know he was a writer, a professor, historian, and one of the pioneers of the Africana studies, if you will, all over. And so he basically said that we as Black people in America have no friends because everybody you can think of around the world viewed us as the prize, right? The prize being chattel slavery, not just here in America, but everywhere else we have had enemies, right? And he also said that we are always looking for everybody to be our friends, right? And to like us instead of us really just looking in the mirror and being our own friends or being, friends with Black people around the world, because he was a Pan-Africanist, as you guys can probably guess. So we as Black people all over the world should look to unite and be friends with one another and stop expecting the oppressor to treat us right. Because again, as he said, we were always the prize. We were always, as he said, being preyed upon. We were the prey. And so there is no friendship there. And so I really say that today, especially because, as you guys also know, we've this past week watched a couple of Negro leaders, and I say that loosely, get upon the media and our television and say, America is not racist, right? You heard Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina say that. America's not racist. And then you heard your buddy, and I know not you guys, is because you guys didn't vote for her, but Kamala and Joe Biden say that America is not racist, right? And then this Negro here said that America's not racist. I want you guys to check this out, and I'll be right back to read you guys' comments. Add him to the stream. Here we go.
Congressman Clyburn, appreciate you joining us. What do you make of these efforts by Republicans in Florida to restrict voting rights there?
Well, I would remind all those who seem to feel that there's something different about having a country being declared a racist country and having entities within the country doing racist things. And I think that that's the problem here. A racist country would never elect Barack Obama president or Kamala Harris vice president. But will we tolerate these kind of racially tinged things that are taking place in Georgia, in Florida, and many other states? We now have 47 states that have introduced legislative activities that would in some way suppress voters. What is that about? So we should stop arguing about whether or not this is a racist country. It is not. Do we have racist things taking place in this country by various jurisdictions? Yes. And we need to weed it out.
All right. So as you guys also saw, that was Representative James Clyburn, who is actually credited with helping Joe Biden's clinch the Democratic nomination to eventually become the president of the United States. And so, as you can also see, Representative Clyburn is very old, and he's been here long enough, and I'm sure he was smack dab in the middle of Jim Crow. So he's been here long enough to know what racism is and that America is racist, right? So again, he too said the same thing that Tim Scott said and Kamala said and Joe Biden. Well, there is some racism, racist things that go on in America, but overall, America is not racist. And he also tried to quantify it by saying various jurisdictions in the United States are racist. And so when he deduces it down to various, it means he's not including all of America. So I would want to know, where in America does he believe there is absolutely no racism, right? There's, you got to really pay attention to some of these things that they're saying. But, Joe, Kamala, and James, we won't say Tim because, he's a Republican and he's on some other stuff, but they all pretended to be friends of Black people, right? I'm going to stand by you. You stood by me, and we're going to do this and that for Black people. And now all of a sudden they're on these talking points of, well, America's not racist, but there's some racist things that are going on. And so it would just make you wonder, what is this really all about? Like, are they all together? When I say all, I include that of Tim Scott, because they're, Black people. Let me finish that. I mean, all Black people. What are they really on? Are they all getting the same talking points to sell? And who are they trying to sell this to? That's the question. Are they trying to sell this to Black people? Or are they trying to sell it to white people? Are they trying to, what are they really trying to do here? Because as I said, they didn't make me, and I know they didn't make Donovan, but they made a lot of Black people believe, oh gosh, we're in this together. Then roughly 4 months into the presidency, they're running around talking about America is not racist. And so again, I'm going to say we have no friends. I know you guys already knew that, but it's just, I really can't put my finger on what's going on, how these people who are lawyers and have been around in Congress and in the Senate and, the House and all these things for a very long time now denying that America is racist, even though we know America is built on racism. Okay. How do you explain America bringing Africans over to endure the horrors of slavery, and then after slavery, continue to hold the people down institutionally and systemically in every way, shape, and form. That's what the definition of racism is: being able to negatively affect a whole people. And that is still going on today. So how is it that they can fix their mouths and their train of thought to say that America's not racist? So I'm going to give it to Donovan, then I promise you guys I'm going to get right on your comments. So what say you?
Yes, we had a lot of comments last time, so we're going to try to stay on top of those. My comment is this. Did not the Democratic Party say that we had to get Trump out of there because he was a racist president? Isn't that what they said? That's one of the tropes that they use to say, oh, that's a reason why we got to get him out of there. He's a racist president. The things that he says is racist. Now, you get into office now under those conditions. Now you're saying America's not racist. Which is it? Isn't that kind of saying, Demetra, like in Jim Clyburn's situation, you're kind of pregnant? That's all I got to say. Are you kind of pregnant, or either you're pregnant or you're not? So either this country's racist or it's not. You can't have it both ways. But these politicians talk out of both sides of their neck. Did not Kamala Harris basically in the primaries told Joe Biden, you're a racist because I was that girl? Didn't she not say that? Isn't his laws, the 1994 crime bill written by Joe Biden, still in effect to this very day? How come the Democrats aren't talking about that? Any legislation that is put forward means nothing if you don't get rid of the 1994 crime bill, which incentivizes the police department to do what they do. See, so we're going to talk about it a little bit. We're going to get you guys comments, but yes, I do need a drink. I need some cannabis. Anybody got any of that Bob Marley weed? I'm just, it's not often that I'm speechless, but I'm just basically, hey, it is what it is.
All right, y'all. So I'm going to get to you guys' comments. And so, Ricky, say 4 of the officers in Elizabeth County, North Carolina, are heading back to work. 3 on admin duty. So they're the ones that murdered Andrew Brown Jr., shot him several times, once in the head, which was the fatal blow. And so it's not really surprising. And they still do not want to release the video or the body cams, which kind of would tell us there's something they don't want us to see, right?
I'm sorry to interrupt. And the 4 that are going back to on duty is because they didn't shoot their firearms. But if Demetra and I both robbed a bank, I was the one that got the money and ran. Even though we both had guns, wouldn't we both be in jail? Wouldn't we still both be held responsible? If somebody got killed in the attempt of that bank robbery and Demetra was the driver, would she not still face the same charges as I do? They're doing this right in people's face because you want to know why? We do not read nor comprehend what they are doing.
No, absolutely. And so, and 3 of the officers, if I'm not mistaken, have retired or retired and resigned. That's what it is. It's, hey, Linda, how you doing? It says, hello from Chicago. Hello there. And Johans, what's going on? He says, no cheer here. Okay. And the Pioneer, how you doing? He says, good afternoon, family. I didn't know Demetra had her own channel until a few days ago. Yeah, I've had it for a few years now. I've had it for quite some time. It's just now really catching momentum. So, but thank you for being over here. Yeah, I do see you on the War Zone YouTube chat. So welcome. And Arson, what's going on with you? Says, hey guys, how are you all doing this week? So far, so good. I mean, no complaints, not yet. And Marcus, how you doing? Says, sad to say, Mr. Donovan Sadiq, there is no cheering up in this climate that we're living in right now. There is only misery if we stay. An unknown joy on the horizon should we leave. That is like minded people leaving. Yeah, a lot of people are leaving.
Yeah, well, the only solace I got, Marcus, is counting my money. I just went to my bank account and just was counting, and it made me feel a little bit better. Because, by the way, the stock market under the first 100 days of Joe Biden is at a 75-year, something like that, all-time high in the last 75 years. Is Donald Trump going to take credit for that?
Right. And Afro Diaspora Network. It says the Pioneer Welcome. Glad you found it. All three have their own shows and platforms. So yes, Donovan has his own show as well. And hopefully, Donovan, you can put it in the comment section. And I'll put it up there so people can follow you as well. And Sunlight say, get them out of here. And Afro Diaspora Network says, Donovan, very frustrating indeed. And the Pioneer says, well, America has nearly 400 million people. To say America is racist is to imply that even the Black folks in America are racist too. It's a trick statement based on inaccurate generalization. Yeah, I can see that. But I think to me, I think that's talking past the point. I think it's talking past the question, right? Because they know what they mean when they say, you know, America is or is not racist. They know who they're talking about, because if we really understand the definition of racism, we know that Black people don't have the ability to be racist, because as I said a minute ago, we would have the ability to hold back a whole other race, right? Institutionally and systemically. We don't have that ability. So I think that's really picking here and there to try to qualify the question, but they know what they meant, right? And Ricky say, oh no, not Jimbo Clyburn. He didn't want Biden to do anything except get elected. Yeah, and even afterwards, he was crying about, you know, Biden not doing anything for, you know, specifically for Black people. It's like, well, you didn't ask him to, so you really should just go somewhere, right? And son of Oda Lumiere, how are you doing? It says, our misleaders are working with YouTube, or is it white? YouTube to hasten our elimination from the U.S. They refuse to offer any pushback to asinine comments of their paymasters. Okay, so yeah, I have understood that YouTube is on certain things, which is why we don't say certain words or even kind of type certain words, because they have these little bots and they follow different algorithms, if I'm saying that right. So we just try to be careful some of the things we say, right? Because admittedly, this is not our platform, right? But a lot of people are working on having Black-owned platform. I feel from the African Diaspora News Channel has an app. You guys want to go over there and check it out and see how you can join that app, and you can see content that is unapologetic. I'll say that, right? So it's over there. And the Pioneer says, we know, says white supremacists are in position of power, but we must be precise with our words or we'll end up looking silly over generalization. I mean, I get it, but like I said, I think they know what the question entailed, you know, to try to, you know, say America is racist, right? I mean, the fact that we as Black people are here and why we are here is racist.
Yeah, real quick, do you guys know that in Asia, especially in Asia, there wasn't really they had their own kind of systemic racism within their culture, but they did not have racism against African people until after World War II, to where the white men from America went over there and put the tropes and the misconception of Black men in that country, to where Japan and China have this conception of Black men. And that's why Asians are probationary whites right now. They could come over here on the first try and get a bill in their favor on the first try, because they're probationary white, because they bought into the bullshit. So
yep. And Eric, how you doing? It says, oh, fish fry Jim Clyburn. Yes. That name has stuck with him. How you doing, Angelique? It says, Donovan ain't playing with these fools. He went through their phone/media, the Congressional Black Caucus. Yeah, they really haven't been for Black people in a very, very long time. But, you know, got the name Black. All right. And Donovan says, either it's racist or it's not. That is like being kind of pregnant. Yeah, I mean, you can't say something is not racist, although some racist things go on. It's just silly. It's like, who do they think they're talking to, really? You know? And the Pioneer says, at Afro Diaspora Network, thank you. I'm going to look for Donovan's channel too. Yes, and as soon as I get to it, I'm going to put it up here. Hey, Stacy, how you doing? Hey, Jacqueline, what's up? And Donovan says, Angela, I will be showing the proof on my podcast later. And the Pioneer says, sister, we can't include all, quote unquote, of America. There are nearly 40 to 50 million Black folks here. Most of us obviously aren't racist. Laugh out loud. We need to be specific instead of making emotional statements. Well, I mean, I don't know how more specific we can be I mean, again, if you know the true definition of racism, then you know that doesn't apply to us, right? It applies to people who have the power to subjugate us as a whole people. I'm not talking about, individual. I'm talking about as a people, and we are definitely subjugated here in America. So I think we're being very clear, right? And like I said, those people, Kamala, Joe, and Jim, and Tim, they are smart enough to understand what the question was, right? It wasn't a trick question. I would think it wasn't. And Mr. Few Clothes, how you doing? He says Elizabeth City, North Carolina demographics, 54% black mayor, black city manager, blacks on the city council. Why aren't black activists holding black elected officials accountable? Well, more than likely, those black officials have bought in, because they needed the other, 46% of whoever is in the city to vote for them. And so they do like most of them. They get in there and on the backs and the votes of black people, and then they do for everybody else. But like you said, with all that power, it shouldn't be a question. All of those officers, they should have released the tape. But I guess really with the tape is actually up to the judge in that particular city in order to release the tapes. And it doesn't sound like he's really wanting to do that right now. So I think that's really what it is. But you're right. With all of that black power, quote unquote, things should be moving along a little bit faster. So I agree with you. And Sunlight says, Donovan, oops, where did that go? Trying to get to these comments and they build it up. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna find it. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's up there. Donovan looks like he needs a drink. It's gonna be okay, brother. Yes, I need a serious drink.
I'm still trying. There we go. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna get to most of these comments really quick. Yes. Yeah, it's been a rough week. And the Pioneer says, like Queen said, most politicians are lawyers. They understand the importance of words and the need to be precise. Yep. And the Pioneer says, Queen, don't be too hard on me if you address my comments. No, I'm going to address your comments. I'm never going to be too hard on you. And Morning says, greetings, Donovan, and wonderful Demetria K. Happy Cinco de Mayo. He says, Penn, Michigan. I think he meant in Michigan. I thought we would have had our Cinco de Mayo starting today since it's actually Wednesday, but no festival. Maybe they'll have it on the actual day. But greetings to you as well. And Sunlight says, we should resort to the Winnie Mandela necklacing method. Simple, no more talk. Yeah, they tried to demonize her too. And, then they bring her up on charges as well. And then her husband, Nelson, ended up divorcing her and all of that. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah. For Winnie, though, in her situation, she became more radicalized because she got tired of being surveilled and stuff like that. Yeah. So, she was implicated in a murder and it was all kinds of stuff that she was like getting rid of the sellouts. She was really serious about, keeping the thing very, very pure and more militant.
Yeah, they were trying to make it about she was messing with some young guys and just a bunch of, how they do us. Hey, Dennis, how you doing? And Jalen says they can't admit white supremacy is a problem yet. America isn't racist. Black men and women still getting hung from trees, yet America isn't racist. I agree with you, but that's the ideology that's coming out of their mouths. And Morning says, when Marcus Garvey wanted everybody to leave in the early 1900s, 1920s, and many wanted to sign up for the Spanish War, they were denied the right to leave. Let's be clear. This is a very wet, racist country. Indeed, it is. And Jerome, how you doing? And you say facts. And Donovan says, yes, please shout out wherever you're watching from and listening from. Yep. Charlie, how you doing? He says, good evening, Demetria and Donovan. And the Pioneer says, at FUCOS, you make an excellent point. We can't continue to march and complain when we have black folks in office who don't do a damn thing when these race soldiers attack. I agree.
And that's exactly what we've been trying to tell people. Why do we keep electing these people into office when they don't do anything?
Right. Robin, how you doing? He says, good evening, everybody. And Jalen says, affirmative action is still a law that is used actively in our society, but America isn't racist. Get the hell out of here. Right. And that's what I said. That they, of all people, they know they're just playing games because they know they'll have some people who will defend it. And we've all seen it already, people defending them, right? C.E. King, how you doing? He says, shalom, family. Same to you. And Moni says, granted, it feels good to have Trump out of office, but it's no better having an old Southern bigot and person that deals with mental identity crisis running the country. Let's be clear, right? So as we said, is the lesser two evils, and who was actually the most evil? And let's see here. SCE King, he says up, and I think he meant active. And Moni says, at the end of the day, you understood where he represented. Look at what he did to the Central Park Five. Never made an apology. Now everything is happening, and he'll make a fake phone call to the family too. So you're talking about Trump. And let's see here. So Marcus says, Rock Island police shooting of Deshaun Tatum. And when did that happen? I mean, it's like there's so many of them. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah, I think that happened today.
Really?
Today, yeah, earlier this morning or something like that. They're shooting us every day. And again, no statement from the Congressional Black Talkers, no statement from the AKA Sororo, whatever they are. It's these people. They're. It's just frustrating. When you see people that look like us that have been there for thousands of years, they run out of ideas. They got theirs, and they just want to sit on the throne until you carry them out, and it's just frustrating.
Right. And Mr. Fuclo says James Clyburn is number 3 man in the House. His success contradicts America's racist country. I think today is a class problem. Well, classism has always been at the crux of it. Racism and everything else is just a symptom of classism, or I should say capitalism. I think that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, he's a clown.
Well, he's number 3. They created that position just to put a black face in the. James Clyburn has no power. He has no power whatsoever. Nancy tells him to go out there and do what he does. Yes, Miss Nancy. That's his answer to everything. That was a created position. Period. It's symbolism. And once again, we fall for it. Look, James Clyburn, he's number 3 in the Democratic Party. What difference does it make if he can't affect change? It doesn't make any difference at all. Where's the law? He's a legislator. Where is the legislation to protect black people and make us a protective class? We can't get it done.
Well, if you don't think America's racist, that's not something you're even going to entertain. Hey, Mr. Pirate Brain, how you doing? He says, hey there. Hi there, Demetra and Donovan. And Terry, how you doing? He says they shot in the neighbor's house in North Carolina. So is that what the Mr. Brown case? They shot in because they said they was just like out there just corral, just shooting. And Moni says, so the president will make a fake phone call to the family to try to smooth things over like it doesn't exist on the suffering of Derek Chauvin. You got prosecutors that say they feel sorry for me. Yeah, talking about District Attorney or Attorney General rather, Keith Ellison. Yeah, he's a clown as well. And Lighter, how you doing? He says they do what they do to us because they know who we are. You better believe it. And let's see here. And Moni says, what happened to Simone Sanders, who was supposed to be press secretary? You don't see her anymore. Why is that? Day one, you approve bills for alphabet community and Asian community and nothing for us. Well, I guess Simone is around somewhere, but she's the press secretary for Kamala. Kamala ain't gonna let nobody speak for her. So that's really just a symbolic job for. And you would think they would have gave Simone Sanders a better position since she was willing to take a bullet or whatever it was coming for Joe Biden. The black women who was out there strolling to the polls and having everybody stroll, they got done dirty, let's just say the least. But you know what? They'll be back in 2024, dusting off the shoulder pads to try to tackle somebody else again. And Lawrence, how you doing? Go ahead, Donovan.
Go ahead.
Lawrence, how you doing? He says, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air episode with Carlton and frat party scene. We just as racist as white folks too. We still will call each other the N-word like it's not a problem. Well, to call somebody an N-word, I mean, let me just go back up to your first part. I think if we understand the true definition of racism, then we understand that we cannot, as Black people, be racist. And I didn't watch very much Fresh Prince, but again, Fresh Prince was on NBC, owned by white people. So of course they're going to say things like that. Well, Black people can be racist too, when we know that's not true. Black people don't have the ability to be racist, but I understand what you're saying in regards to us calling each other the N-word. But I think not to kind of, make it right, because I know some people have an issue with it. When we say it to each other and we ain't saying it the way They are saying it to us.
Right. It's no different than saying Day Day and all these little names, Deontay, and all these stupid names that we call each other in for nicknames. But then I want to just bring up also the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was on NBC, produced, and some of the production that was back behind that, Harvey Weinstein.
Right. So, I mean, I would imagine Harvey would have been on some other stuff, but that's a different story. The Pioneer said that, Mr. Few Clothes, that's true. When you live in a racist environment, it's smart and intelligent to try to rise as high as you can and keep that position without harming your own. But like Donovan said, you know, James Clyburn's position is really symbolism. What can he do with that position? He's not no king maker. You know, he's a pawn, and he does his job very well. Like when Biden and his administration's campaign, rather, at the time, went to South Carolina and said, "Hey, boy, we need you to get these Negroes in line," and he did just that. But other than that, he really has no power, right? So. Let's see here. Hello, Eric. How you doing? And Moni says, when Kamala Harris was called out on her support of the 94 crime bill, she has no intention on removing it either. Neither her or Jim Crow, Joe. Let's be clear. So they're both liars, and they'll never get my vote. Yeah, both of them. And they're not going to do anything for Black people until we really let them know. I bet you won't get our support in 2024. I bet you won't. And when these midterm elections roll around, you should be afraid of the Black vote too. We're going to hold out because a lot of the people that are up for re-election during the midterm elections, they've sold Black people out too. So we really got to be clear and like, we'll stay home. Let the people you guys help show out and help you guys.
Yeah, if you guys follow my podcast, I'm going to show you where Warnock, who just won a special election in the seat in Georgia, they are seriously worried about his seat because he's appealing to the baby boomers out there, and which is fine, but that's not enough to get him reelected because they haven't done enough. I mean, people were promised $2,000. The Democratic Party did not deliver, and so this guy's seat's in jeopardy, which means that the Democrats will lose the majority in the Senate, and that's how bad it is. Because now Warnock is coming out talking about, sounding just like Obama. Well, I'm on this, I'm doing that, I'm trying to do this. It's all about power and maintaining it, and that's all it's about. But I'm going to show that later on in my podcast, later on this evening.
All right, and this is Donovan's information, you guys, by the way, on YouTube and Facebook, if you're interested in following him, and you should. Donovan's very insightful, and he does the work in regards to showing you who these Negro misleadership are. And so, Lawrence, you say, true statement. And Terry says, Clyburn said he was going to wait for Biden to get in office to mention the crime bill. It's like, why? Because you know why? Because if he would have really mentioned the crime bill and for what it really was, then those Black people were listening to him would be like, well, I'm not voting for that. But so he basically said is, I'm going to continue to hoodwink Negroes until they get to the White House. That's pretty much what he said. And so, let's see here. Shaniqua, how you doing? Says, hi, y'all. And how is your pretty dog, Donovan?
She's right over there napping and sleeping and waiting for me to take her for a walk after the show.
And Mr. Pirebrain says, we as Black people have always had to talk in code. Yeah, we need to change that. We get our own stuff. We can say what we want when we get our own stuff. But on here, unfortunately, we have to kind of tiptoe around a little bit if we want to continue to bring information, right? And so the Pioneer says, Donovan, you're absolutely correct. They used to go around telling them that Black folks had tails. But from what I know of history, most East Asians had an aversion to dark skin for hundreds of years.
Yeah. And like I said, within their culture, they have a form of racism, but it wasn't the racism that the white man introduced to them. Okay. That's a totally different animal.
Yep. And Moni, you say Donovan always keep you with liquor supply on hand and put it in your coffee or tea down, or filled up with a lot of ice and grapefruit punch. I know it must be stressing your nerves. Well, we don't want him to turn into an alcoholic.
Yeah. No, I've never been much of a drinker. Like I said, when I get down in the dumps and stuff, I just go to my mattress and pull out a couple of grand of money and just start counting it.
Absolutely. So let me see here. I skipped up. I think we're making some progress, aren't we? Let's see.
You're a pioneer. Man, y'all are reading nearly all of the comments.
Okay, yeah. That's what, because it sometimes it just rolls up on its own. Yes, we are. That's what we do here. That's why it's a unique show, because we read all of you guys' comments, questions, or concerns so you can feel loved and involved as well. And Robin says, Kabama, damn, y'all got all kind of names for her. 2.0 pulled a Trump card saying America's not racist. She's trying to appease the white voters because she's planning on running for president in the future. Yeah, because we've said it. I think that Joe Biden will try to run in 2024, but he's not even really up to it now. So, of course, they're grooming it. Because you notice Kamala actually speaks a lot to be a vice president. Because you think of all the other vice presidents. Hell, most people can't even remember who the vice president was. But how many times did Pence actually get out there and take the lead on topics and all of that? So if you watch it, I think they're really trying to groom Kamala for that position.
Well, the thing is, they see she's in trouble with black people. That's the problem. Remember, in the primaries, it was the black people that said, no, you ain't get it. And again, the black vote is the kingmaker. If you got that black vote behind you, you can sit in that seat, just like Joe Biden. But here's the facts. She will not be president because of her record. If she tries to run, she doesn't have the support. And she speaks, number one, to get that white vote and to co-sign on to what the master is saying, to get that white vote. And just like she recently said, the AKAs are silent. And there's thousands of AKAs that are just looking stupid now with their chucks and pearls, because this is your girl that said that. Now, out of those thousands of AKAs, a couple of hundred are going to be like, nah, girl, you know, you on some different shit. You know what I mean? So
they'll vote for her.
But it already puts doubt in their mind. But you got to remember, the white woman is upset right now because you had the most qualified white woman, not just a white woman, just a most qualified politician of all times that lost to the worst candidate of all times. And you think that they are going to let what is she this week? Asian woman become president? It's not going to happen. Kamala is not going to win. And I do believe the Democrats are going to try to lose the presidency or one of the houses so they can have an excuse of what they can't do for black people. Because just like Obama, I know I didn't do what I was supposed to do the first round, but you know, if y'all reelect me, the next time I'll do it. And then he gets in there the second time, still didn't do shit.
Right. And Marnie, you say we need to protest at these people's houses more and send a clear message. Stop supporting them. They're hiding it because they know that they were wrong. You have to keep the pressure on them at all times. How close you think you really getting to their house? And half the time they ain't even there. They ain't somewhere else, right?
Yeah. That girl, that cop that accidentally shot Deshaun, her house has been barricaded up at $9,000 a day, and she's not even there.
Right. And Mr. Few Closer says we shouldn't have no friends. What we should have is common sense enough to support those who support us. Blacks need to deal in interest, not emotionalism. I 100% agree with you, right? But we need to be a friend to ourselves first. And Jacqueline, how you doing? Says Kamala will never see the Oval. I agree with you, but you know, they think she might. And again, if you guys are in the watch parties or another place other than here, click on the link, and you guys, I'll be more than happy to read your comment.
Now, there is a slim possibility that she can. If the Democrats deliver something substantial and specific to black people, there is a slight chance it could happen. But guess what? They're not doing that, and they're telling you we ain't doing a damn thing specifically for black people. No, but for Asians, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see her getting the seat. I mean, I personally don't see it, but stranger things have happened. And the Pioneer says, who lives in Michigan with me? Where are all the fellow Michiganders? Well, you guys do tell. Where you at? And I hope I'm going to say this right. Fauni, I hope I said that right. How you doing? He says, love from Hawaii. Take us with you. We want to go to Hawaii.
That's Haiti. That's Haiti.
Oh, you know what? I'm tripping. That dude said, okay, Hades. We want to come to Haiti too. Not Hades, but Haiti. Man, I'm going to tell y'all something, okay? The rabbit is getting old, all right? I'm finding myself when I'm reading stuff and I'm mad now because I've heard of when people get older, they can't see small things and they have to like hold it back. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, you're becoming farsighted. I'm farsighted.
I'm like, I was seeing fine like 2 weeks ago before I turned 50. And Now I can't see it, so maybe next time I wear my glasses when I get on here. But anyway, how you doing? And Moni says, should Joe Biden pass away in the first or second term? Let's be clear, Kamala would be president, unfortunately. Well, yeah. He says, you never say never because it doesn't look like Biden's this got over prolonged life. So basically what you're saying is, yeah, if he croaks, right? Okay, yeah, she'll be the president, but you know.
Right. But then again, a lot of us have learned from the Obama effect. Let's say she is president and she doesn't do anything specifically for Black people, the Democratic Party will be destroyed at that point because a Black man didn't do nothing. And now what would she be by then? I think a Black woman again, didn't do anything for Black people. The Black people will start leaving the Democratic Party in droves, not going to the Republican Party. They will go to become independents and, doing what we've been telling them to do for the last couple of years.
Right. Hey, Jonelle, what's going on with you? Says Peace Queen Demetra, Kay, and Donovan and fam. And you know what? I've seen your inboxes. I am going to open them. Y'all, man, your girl be busy. But you know what? I am going to respond to every last one of them because you be sending me some good stuff. So I am going to look at those today. And the Pioneer says, at Mr. Few Close, you are correct. If we become less emotional, more logical, we'll realize that nobody is going to be your ally if they feel you have nothing to offer. Yep. Leather and Luxury Cars, how you doing? Says, hey, y'all, I'm late again, but cannot miss y'all. You're right on time. And yes, Jonelle, power to the people. And Moni says, nobody should be thinking on an emotional level, which most times they're not when you're dealing with crooked politicians and liars. You can't expect a lot of craziness. You can't expect a lot of craziness to come up out of their mouths. Let's be clear. But you know what? Unfortunately, I say we as Black people are emotional. How is it that they're able to sell us with symbolism on everything you can think of, right? So we need to stop being as emotional and start being logical. So I agree with you guys. And Eric says, ask Sheila Jackson Lee, what happened with the Black man found hanging in a tree back in 2020? Was that out here? Because, it's been quite a few of them. I imagine it would be in Houston since you're saying Sheila Jackson Lee. We'll have to see, right? Mr. Few Close says, at Pioneer, James Clyburn has made it. So it's foolish to think he's going to say America's a racist country. His failure is he's not aggressively advocating for Black interests. No, he's got his piece of the pie or his biscuit. So he doesn't care. If he really, truly cared about Black people, he would have never advocated for Joe Biden to become the nominee without saying, hey, you know what, Joe? While we agree that Trump is a douchebag, okay, he is, and he should go, but I cannot, in good faith, bring you to the White House or present you in front of my people without letting them know that you have contractually agreed with me that you are actually going to do something for Black people. If he truly cared about Black people, that's what he would have done before he sold Joe Biden to us, kind of, sort of, right?
Yeah, but isn't it funny? Like Bloomberg goes down to a billionaire to launch his presidency, and the church invites him in, and Black people had the sense to get up and walk out and turn their backs on him. But then, oh, well, James Clyburn, he's number 3 in the Democratic Party. He must know what he's talking about.
Right.
Crazy.
And a son of Odula Mayor, you say, we don't need allies. We need to achieve power by any means and all means necessary. We choose the least effective method, which is voting, and we end up getting the shaft every time, right? Voting without asking for anything and receiving no tangibles. That's what we do. Hey, Todd.
No. We were going to hold them accountable once they get in office, and it's been 100 days. We still got almost 4 years to go. So we're going to hold them accountable.
Yeah, how's that working out? How you doing, Todd? You say Minister Farrakhan said we need to take off the clothes of hypocrisy because we judge others while we are a failure. Yeah, exactly. We need to clean our own house and get our own selves together, really, before trying to hold anybody else accountable. The first person you always got to hold accountable is yourself.
Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Black people have always stood up and opened the door for everybody else. That's just our nature. We just do that. That's my mother.
You stupid.
That's my mother. My mother said that. It's just our nature. We stand up for everybody.
Oh, she ain't watching this.
But this is what she said. This is what we do. We stand up for everybody else.
Your mama gonna beat your butt. Marcus says, I think in many cases you can't see what you're not capable of being. We hold on to hope where white people are concerned because we are a hopeful people by nature. Despite all we have endured, we are still willing to pray for the devil instead of destroying him by any means. Yeah, I guess that kind of goes hand in hand with Donovan's mom was saying. Donovan's pretty accurate with his depiction, so I'm just going to assume he had her spot on, okay? Tell your mama I ain't got nothing to do with this mess, okay? That's all on you. And the Pioneer says, Mr. Few Clothes, aggressive action for Black interests begin at the grassroots level. We have to first have a solid agenda to present to these politicians and force them to enact it. See, that's the other misnomer and misconception.
I disagree.
Yeah, we've always had a Black agenda. Always. From the time of Marcus Garvey, we've always had one. Always. But the question is, which one will we get on board with? What Black agenda do we want to all just say? And they're all pretty much the same. Even the one with Ice Cube had it, you're pretty much on the same level or along the same line of thought. I mean, so which one are we willing to get on board with? But we've always presented them with a Black agenda. Because to say that we've never did that is a slap in the face to that of Marcus Garvey, the Nation of Islam, with, message to the Black man in America. Even Dr. Claude Anderson, we know he's presented, a Black agenda a million times, I'm sure. And again, you can throw Ice Cube and everybody else in between there. So there has been one, right? Those politicians are not oblivious that there is a Black agenda somewhere. And Terry said, no power. Kenny, how you doing? He says, Ellison is a clown. Yes, he is. You guys know he's denounced Minister Farrakhan as well. Ellison used to be in the NOI and, got up there as he ascended to power. He had to denounce the minister. Says, I don't believe those in being racist and, just the clown stuff, as you said.
The butter biscuits are good up there. I'm telling you, when you get up, I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe people, sometimes get up there and they want to do the right thing, but it's just something about the access to power that just changed people. And it's always the dirtbag and scumbags that end up staying, the people that, that see that this ain't working, they do their time and they roll, but these people just stay. Sad.
And Terry says, yes, Brown case shot in house few times, said they know it ain't been back since. That's crazy, but that's what they do even with the Breonna Taylor cases, which is why the only cop that's charged is in trouble because he shot in somebody else's house. And Sunlight says racism has absolutely nothing to do with words. Every Black person knows that, right? Exactly. And Johan says the abuser never will own up to the abuse. Nope. And Kiki, how you doing? It says, hey, peeps, late but here. Yes, indeed, you are here. And Mona says the problem was they went around the question so they wouldn't have to give it fully. And if somebody could have called out all of the lies and hypocrisy of it, it would have been even better. But they still wouldn't have owned up to it. Because you saw Kamala was having a hard time. She was trying to backtrack. It was like, nah, sister, you stepped in and just keep going with it. And the Pioneer says, I don't think the word nigga is a racist word. Most of the time we use it. It is derived from it, but it's actually a new word that is officially different than the GGER word. And I guess I would agree with that because we don't say it with the same connotation as the originator. Again, that's not a word we came up with. And Jonelle says, when they have slaves make statements of compromise, they're only weighing the state of ignorance of the masses. Their every move is banking on the docile. And that's how they're so successful. Because a lot of us are just docile and like, okay, well, if you say so, James, we gonna do what you say. So, and oh shoot, my comments jumped up. Let's see here. I thought I was catching up to them.
No, we are. We're doing good. Keep going.
Yeah. Okay, I'm getting close. And Terry says, let people know they ain't gonna do nothing. Okay, we're right, exactly. And Marcus says, somebody please tell me. What's the purpose of voting and for what the matter voting correctly? I see no point in voting right now because the people in power or change the vote down. You say, and if you put new people in power, they will fully support the vote as it stands. The same thing in respect to the law. Now, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, we talked about holding the vote last time and people disowned us. And you also say, does this say doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome means what? Insanity. So you say, so that means the mass majority of Black people get long and straight jackets.
Yes. You know, Marcus, you hit it right on the nail. We are politically immature. We are like 3-year-old children when it comes to this political game, because if you can't see what is going on, I mean, you are insane. Look at the civil rights era people. They keep telling us and the lower generations what we need to do to make it and to be successful, but yet they're in their 70s now and they have no wealth to pass on to us. Do you know the baby boomers of the white generation? You're looking at a wealth change of $67 trillion. $67 trillion. The Black community comes nowhere close to that. Where are the generational businesses? Where are the generational corporations? Where are the generational lawyers, doctors, and so on? We have them, but not in the numbers that going on there. The baby boomers, and I know me and my mom get into it all the time, and I mean a lot of other baby boomers get into it all the time. But the one thing we can get into it, but when I show them the proof and the facts, they want to get offline or they want to hang up the phone or whatever the situation is. The fact of the matter is, do not tell me how successful you are when you have no generational wealth to pass down to your descendants.
Absolutely. And Jonelle says freedom is no fear. Absolutely. Can't be afraid. And then as you say, bootlicks. Hey, Black Ricardo, how you doing? You say, laugh out loud. And the Pioneer says, I feel loved and involved, but I also have to really watch what I say. Okay. Don't be scared. And Mr. Pioneer said, what's the name of your YouTube channel, Donovan? I passed it up. But it's the same name, Donovan Sadiq.
Donovan Sadiq. You just go there and then look me up. I'll be there.
Yep, Donovan Sadiq. And Jerome would say facts. And Mr. Few Clothes, you say at the Pioneer James. They said Clyburns and the CBC are well aware of what the issues are, but they take Black voters for granted by having Black folks focusing solely on racism, ignoring what Black politicians aren't doing. Absolutely. We're always distracted. Always. And we're so distracted, we don't know we're distracted, right? And the Pioneer says, Donovan, laugh out loud. At what race is she this week? But for real, the AKAs aren't feeling too bad because most Black sororities and fraternities teach their members how to get along in white society anyway. I mean, how do you identify as a Greek organization and you Black?
And then you talk about how great you are. And don't get me wrong, the HBCUs are doing great education, but yet all these people that graduate from the HBCUs are not creating any businesses, any corporations, anything of substance so that Black people can go get jobs so we can create jobs for ourselves versus asking the white man. You go to this school, you pay all this money, get this great education, and what do? They go work for the white man. And as we see, one of their top students is the Vice President of the United States. And what does she do? She co-signs on everything that white man says. Is that what they're teaching at HBCUs? Yeah,
especially after she called them a racist during the debates. Hey, Janelle, how you doing? You say, I don't, Penelope Pit Stop, that is. You say, I don't like Umar, but his recent Breakfast Club interview was right on point. He spoke the same talking points I've been hearing from y'all's show and the war zone. Yeah, I mean, it's that, I look back at that interview, it has over 2 million views. It's one of the Breakfast Club's highest viewed interviews, and Dr. Umar, I know people got their issues with him, but you know what? You can't knock the man because he be keeping it real. He keeps it 100% real, and he's entertaining, so that helps. And Arson says, I think you read a comment where somebody on here said if it felt quote unquote good to have Trump out and mentioned the Central Park Five. Okay, people, one serious issue with Blacks is that we generally tend to be overly emotional and easily impressed. That is exactly what makes us easy to manipulate, hence always being used and abused. The media had more to do with our choice than rational reflection on what would benefit us as a people. And many of us even burned Ice Cube for doing just that, right? Because Many of us were just happy to have Trump out. We were told he was our Frankenstein. We didn't create Trump, okay? They created Trump, but they put that on the backs of Black people and told us that it was our responsibility to get rid of Trump. We didn't create Trump. How did that become our responsibility? Let the people who were going to benefit for Trump being gone actually get him out of there. Like I said, I know Trump, he was a horrible person, but at least Black people were benefiting specifically to some degree with him in there. But we got him out of there and got Biden in there, and he's like, Black people? What's that? So you're right.
And mark our words, today is May 2nd, 2021. The number one thing in regards to 2024 that they are going to be telling you and scaring you is, y'all don't want Trump back. They're going to use him as the boogeyman again to make you vote for them, because it's the lesser of two evils. Well, I know, Joe didn't do anything specifically for you Black folks, but y'all don't want Trump back in because look at all the stuff that happened when he was in office. Are we going to fall for that again? I'm not saying vote for Trump. That ain't what I'm saying, but that's what the Democratic Party is going to use to get you and scare you to vote for the Democratic Party. And then they're going to get in there for another 4 years and do nothing.
Yep. And Mr. Few Closure says, Kamala, this was Kamala saying, I'm not doing anything specifically for Blacks. Also, Kamala, America needs to help India, right? But they, including Kamala, who says she's a Black woman, right? They know they can do that to us. They know they can lie. Kamala and white politicians and everybody else are the equivalent to a child's father who doesn't live with the mother. Says, I'm going to come pick you up. I'll say the mom too, not to be, gender and all that. I'm going to come pick you up this weekend. And they don't show up. And what does the child do the next weekend? They're waiting by the window, waiting for mom or dad to show up. Mom or dad doesn't show up. The kid is hurt. But then the mom or dad calls and say, I swear I'm coming this weekend. Oh, yay. Wait by the door or the window. Never shows up. That's our relationship right there with, politicians and Black people, right?
That's a great analogy. Now, I'm going to take that analogy a little bit farther. What happens when a child grows up under those auspices that you just mentioned and they become adults? Do they love the dad or do they hate the dad?
They become Michael Myers. And Janelle, you say, what would it be if the whole Black community and Black African immigrants formed a fierce unit? Wow, that's
mass suicide.
That's what Marcus Garvey was trying to get us to do years and years ago. Pan-Africanism, right? Everybody, let's unite the diaspora, the African diaspora, and let's really do something. So it would be powerful if we did that, right? And Monet, how you doing? He says, I wish I could fast forward into the future and see what's in store for the world and America. Pretty much more of the same. Just a tad bit worse. And Big Cannon, how you doing? He says, did you see the rebuttal of Jamal Bowman after the president spoke? I noticed no one in the media covered it. I didn't see it. So if you can, enlighten us, because I didn't see or hear what he said, but I'd be interested.
He basically spoke truth to power. And if you guys don't know Jamal Bowman, he's a congressman from New York. He's a very progressive, whatever. But he basically took them to task and basically spoke truth to power in regards to what Tim Scott had said and all that other good stuff.
Okay, I'd like to check that out, because we should be talking about somebody who, stood up and said, nah, that's a lie. The Pioneer says, Dimitri, you're 50. Says you're already, thank you, beautiful. But knowing you are in your 50 makes you even more beautiful. Laugh out loud. Just aging well is an attractive trait. Well, I appreciate that. Yes, Donovan. Oh, he better be happy we ain't in the same room. Right in his rib cage. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm 50. I just turned 50 about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So yeah, I'm over the, I guess I'm over the hill now, is what they say. And Mary, how you doing? He says, I'm in South Carolina and these Black boomers love Clyburn. I be trying to talk to them. They are a lost cause. Yeah. Trust us, we know we have a few of them that come on here and they just be doing the most.
Y'all don't know anything. We were in those civil rights movements and we put in the work. What have y'all done? Y'all didn't want to learn what we were trying to teach y'all.
Yeah, that's a, you just have to say, okay, Miss Annie. All right, Bertha, you right. And Kiki says true. And can brothers please stop thinking that all Black women support / supported Kamala and are AKAs? Please, not all sisters are on her BS. And I've never been into fraternities, sororities, and all of that foolishness. It's all senseless to me. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. All Black women do not and did not support Kamala. I'm one of them.
Right now, but here's my thing, Kiki, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. All I'm saying is you have the different chapters of the AKAs. You have the national chapter of the AKA. There has, and I've been looking for it all morning, not one letter or condemnation of what Kamala had said. And I think that's very telling when she uses the HBCUs as a platform, for her liking and to mislead people. So, out of all of those chapters, you mean nobody is disagreeing with her? And that's what it looks like to those of us that aren't AKA members and all that other stuff. Silence is complicity.
Absolutely. And the pioneer, you say, well, to think about a Clyburn is, who do we have to replace him? Who is better? You don't want a Black Democrat in that position. Who else you got in South Carolina? A white Republican?
At this point, it doesn't matter because you can't do any worse. You really can't. I mean, every Black politician that's in office right now, and I've shown on my thing, don't do anything. So anybody is better, because if they're not doing anything now, the next person can't do any worse.
Yeah, why not have a white Republican? I mean, he's James Clyburn. To you guys, if you're trying to say the white Republican is not for Black people, I mean, James Clyburn is not for Black people either. I mean, he sold us a bad bill of goods when he told us, not us, but I'm saying in general, to go ahead and help put Joe Biden in as the nominee, because Joe Biden wasn't anywhere close to having a nomination until James Clyburn stepped up to the plate and, pitched it to Black people. So what would be the difference at this point? And Terry,
26 candidates, and we picked Joe Biden, 26 candidates, and we pick a guy that is 78. I'm not into ages, but what I'm saying is there were so many other better qualified younger, progressive candidates, and we picked this guy. The establishment picked this guy.
Mm-hmm. And Terry says, at the rate they're going, things gotta change. I think in 2020. Yeah, that's really gonna be the litmus test for Joe and Kamala to see what happens in these midterm elections. And Georgia Fit Health, how you doing? He says, laughing my ass off. You also say, man, hell no, them days are over. And blessings, we were born. Bird, how you doing? He says, ish. Black people, we are enemies to ourselves. It's so sad. Absolutely. We got to fix that first, right?
And especially the biggest problem we have in the Black community right now politically is generational warfare. The baby boomers are screwing it up for the generations underneath them because they've been in power too long. And that's the problem. If you look at the history of America and you look at the generation, most generations are in power in Congress about 20 to 25 years. Bill Clinton got into the presidency in 1993. They are already, and especially Black politicians, the class of 1993 that came in with Bill Clinton, they're still there. So all of these people that were there for the crime bill in 1994 and were like, oh yeah, we're gonna, we want this. They're still there. They're still in office. So.
Mm-hmm. Kiki says, oh, you should have the belt ready, Donovan. Your mama gonna get you. Oh, yeah, she is. Hey, Pamela, how you doing?
I got to get the switch. It ain't the belt. And I better get a good one.
The green one, the kind that bends and flex. Pamela, how you doing? He says, I'm listening to the show, enjoying the show today. I'm glad. And Mr. Fuclo says, mind control 101, keep Black solely focused on racism, white supremacy. That way they aren't focused on holding Black and white politicians accountable. And there you go. And Marty says, I so appreciate you and Demetra Donovan for bringing things clear to light. Demetra, have you ever heard of the Black Set TV channel? I have not. And admittedly, I don't watch a lot of TV, but what's on it, if you don't mind me asking? And the Pioneer says, I didn't say we never had one, but always. What was the Black agenda for 2020? Ice Cube did have an agenda for Black people, but most of us didn't get behind it. The Black agenda is one most of us back. So that I agree with, but to me, it's problematic. And I'm not saying you, but it's problematic that a lot of us didn't know that there were Black agendas before Ice Cube. Ice Cube's agenda is really an amalgamation of all the Black agendas before. I mean, he's spoken to Dr. Claude Anderson. He follows the minister. So, you know, he's gotten something from A Message to the Black Man in America, in which all came from Marcus Garvey. So the fact it's problematic that we don't know that there's been Black agenda. So how are we going to get on board if we don't know there is one, right? So we got to stop saying, oh, there's not a Black agenda, unless you've just gone to Google or just ask somebody.
Yeah, you know, and what's incredible to me, I look at the person who wrote the agenda. Here's a man that didn't even have to get involved, and he wrote an agenda, and that's an amalgamation of all of the agendas and put together in a modern text. Ice Cube didn't have to get involved. He could have kept his butter biscuits, and he's going to be fine. But he put it out there and said, "Hey, we're going to get something." He was sounding like Demetra in basic interviews. He said, "This isn't how it works. You want our vote. You're supposed to give us something for it." I mean, just basic, simple politics.
Right. And Marnie says, Demetra, have you and Donovan ever heard of the Blexit channel where Sister Julia speaks on her experience of what it's like to be born and raised in the UK? Now she lives in Gambia. Never heard of it. Hey,
I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah, please do. And Deadshot 81, how you doing? And Marnie says, while Sister Julia speaks of harsh discrimination in the UK where she got tired of it, and she moved to Gambia, but Gambia doesn't seem to be on the up and up for her in terms of getting citizenship. Keep on trying. Anywhere is better than where you've been, right? I would think. You also say he hasn't done too much of anything, but I can say this much. I couldn't imagine her being the president. I certainly would not vote for Kamala ever. You can see what she's married to tells it all. Right. I agree. I wouldn't vote for her either. You guys, here's a little quick advertisement, if you will, commercial. There's Black-owned toothpaste, Prodent Max. It is all natural. It has whitening ingredients, organic ingredients, no chemicals involved. It tastes good. It leaves your mouth feeling fresh all day long. I personally use it. Donovan uses it. It has no fluoride in it, and it's really good for you. And so the website is in the links on Facebook and YouTube if you want to check it out. Really good product. Again, it is Black owned. And so let's see here. Mr. Fuclo says, if racism, white supremacy alone was the problem, then why aren't all Blacks suffering equally? Tim Scott, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Mayor Lovely Warren aren't suffering from racism. Why? Well, or are they?
Let me jump on that. Did not Tim Scott said he was pulled over 18 times? Maybe it's because of the racism he experienced that made him say, well, I'm going to go and, go get me some butter biscuits like Candace and everybody else and get paid.
Well, I would say this too. Isn't it racism to feel like as a Black person in America, you can't speak your truth? Of course, you're going to have some retribution come your way. Isn't that racism? Aren't we supposed to have freedom of speech and be able to say what you want? So, of course, they're suffering from racism. They are no better than the house Negro, right? The house Negro was on the plantation. They just got better treatment, but they are still on the same plantation. And they figured out, well, for one, house Negroes, you know history, that they were mulatto or of lighter, persuasion, and they were more palatable to the massa, right? But they also learned how to work the system. In almost every situation, it was a house Negro that sold out somebody like the Nat Turners that was actually trying to help Black people. And so those particular people, they are still on the plantation. They just figured out how to make it hurt less. But it's racism when you can't speak your true Black thoughts and be yourself, right? I mean, the fact that you're saying racism doesn't exist as a Black person in America, that to me is racism.
Well, to me, it's racism and it's PTSD. Obviously, these people are suffering from post-traumatic slave disorder. Absolutely, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. And Kiki says, do you all feel like we will ever have effective and active Black leadership, or are Black people just going to have to collectively figure it out on our own without it?
Honorable Louis Farrakhan is an example of successful leadership, Black leadership in the United States.
Yeah, but see, he's too honest. And, again, we as Black people, we want the symbolism and we are too emotional, and the truth hurts us to a fault to where we just run from it. So no, but I agree with you. Moni says, so they can go through this madness if they like the way I say they get one try. Let's get them out of office too. Until these people wake up, stop kissing up to these people. They're nothing more. Yeah, one term. That's all they should get. Show us what you're going to do. If you haven't done anything, it doesn't take 30 years for you to say, whoo, I finally got the hang of things. No, you got one term to start making some power moves. And the Pioneer says an agenda must have clear and specific goals. For example, we demand free universal health care for all Black people, or we demand free higher education for all Black people. They must be specific. Donovan, take that for a second.
Yeah. Well, you know, Pioneer, that's all good and great. But see, we can't do that because, like I said, in reparations and stuff, it has to be a monetary compensation because what's good for you is not necessarily good for me. I have 12 different degrees. So how is free education going to benefit me? You would be denying me my benefit or whatever. So it's a great idea, but it can't be all encompassing. You know, if they want to do that, that's fine. But there should also be an option for people like myself. I want the money. Just give me my money so I can get the hell up out of here.
And just really quick, I just want to say, so you say they should be clear and specific. So this is the Final Call newspaper, and on page, and let's see, what page is this? It's toward the back of the newspaper anyway, the publication, and it always has this on there, and it says what the Muslim wants. Now this is a Black agenda, and it is from the message to the Black man in America, and it is bullet pointed out, and some of the things are really specific to members of the Nation of Islam, but overall it's specific to Black people. And so just really quick, it says we want freedom. We want a full and complete freedom. Number 2, we want justice, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, regardless of creed or color, class or color. We want equality of opportunity. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. So I can go on and on. So the point that I'm making to showing you this, if you see one of our brothers out there, they are selling the Final Call newspaper. Get one, and it is toward the back of that newspaper. So this is just one of them, right? And then another one is by Dr. Claude Anderson, outlining detailed powernomics of group economics, what we must be doing in order to be successful. So that's another agenda, if you will, a blueprint. So again, I can debunk the fact, saying, well, we don't have a bullet one or we don't have one specific. It's not true. Just because like the media, and I'm not saying this about you, Pioneer, but the media or these Black pundits will make you, because I've heard a lot of them say, well, we haven't presented one. Well, where is the Black agenda? I've heard Roland Martin say it, right? And it's a lie. It is a lie. We have always had one from the time of Marcus Garvey. So we need to stop perpetuating that lie because it's not true. It's simply not true.
Right. And I just want to address also, like in your example, and it's an example, you demand free universal health care. We already have that. It's called Obamacare. That's what the Democrats say. That's one of their platforms. So we already have that. And again, Mr. Pioneer, when we need something specific for Black people, we got to stop including ourselves in this everybody policy or this everybody agenda, because it's been proven. Just like Joe Biden said, Reaganomics does not work. That's the Republicans' plan. Oh, well, trickle down in economics. It's been proven it doesn't work. The same thing that's been proven, it's the same thing that when Black people are included in all of these government programs, we are the least likely group to benefit from anything of that program. What was it? Affirmative action. That was specifically set up for Black people. But who benefited more than any other group? Oh, white women.
Right. And let's see here. The Pioneer says most of our people just ask to be treated right and think that's an agenda. So there you are.
That's Cardi B. She said that when she sat down with Joe Biden.
No. But you're right. A lot of people just think, just treat us right. And that's very unspecific. And Moni says people fail to point out, if you look at what Kamala is married to, why would you ever think she's going to support Blacks? Let's be serious. A person that steps outside of their race with the race of the oppressor, I think is what you're trying to say. Yeah, I mean, she's just not going to call a spade a spade. She's not going to do that, right? She said it before she was elected, not going to. And Terry says, Demetri, you own them comments black first. I tried because I want you guys all to be heard, because I consider you guys to be the third, co-host on the show. Hey, Tanaya, how you doing? It says, good evening, folks. And Moni says, being treated right is one thing, but to constantly be lied to, murdered, and these people should never, ever trust a person that don't love yourself to marry your own, but sleep with the oppressor. Well, I agree with you. And Jason, how you doing? He says, thank you, Donovan. And Dewan, how are you? He says, hello, everyone. And Moni says, when I say you got to keep the pressure on and showing up at the house, I mean at the different officers who are killing us constantly, find their families and show up at their homes like we've been doing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, a lot of these cities are seeing what we're doing, and they're in these city councils are enacting legislation to make that a crime to show up at their houses. So we have to be careful when we do that as well.
They call that doxing, and they're trying to make that illegal. So that is true. And Terry, you say most HBCUs are white owned and named after white people. Go figure. And Mr. Few Closer says, I know you have racists out there and that blacks have to be twice as good, work twice as hard, but how is focusing solely on racism going to develop the, you said the BC black
community economically?
Oh, okay, thank you. Black community economically. So how is focusing solely on racism? Well, it's not. I think we need to be aware of it, but there's things that we need to do, right? We need to do for self. And we know we got $1.7 trillion coming in and out of our community, and we trick it off. So that we can start with not doing that first, right? And Marty says, when you look at the woman that's spending $9,000 a day, somebody is paying that in there, and it ain't her because she was just a nothing, less nobody. Let's be clear. That's the kind of pressure you want to keep on them. Yeah, but I don't even think she's there. They just making sure no one's doing anything to her house.
Right, and that's coming out of the taxpayers thing. And another thing I want to be clear so people understand this. Go and look it up. If you look at Tim Scott's proposal in police reforming in the I think it's the HR1 bill or whatever that bill that they're working on with Sheila, with Barbara Lee and all these people that, the two sides that are working on it.
The reparations bill? No,
it's not the reparations bill. It's the police reform, the George Floyd Act.
Okay.
In that bill, what Floyd is saying that the police should not be sued individually. It should be the police department. Who funds the police department? The taxpayer.
Right.
So he's using a trope to go around in circles, because whenever a payout like the $27 million that went to George Floyd's family, who paid that? The city of Minneapolis. So don't fall for that. I just wanted to put that out there real quick.
Oh, yeah. And the pioneers say at Terry, I think many, if not most of them, were started by Caucasians back after the Civil War. And Kiki says everything becomes our responsibility. They believe ending racism is our responsibility. Shaking my head. We didn't create it, but we're supposed to fix it. Yeah, it's not our job. We don't have the power to do that. And Jonelle says voting has never and will never change Zionists own America. All that ever came as so-called change came via a conflict and especially a threat to commerce. So allowances is given to sell illusion of inclusion and to keep the masses in a stupor to corruption at its finest in every system of the Zionist owned nation. We enjoy window dressings and pacification and call symbol without substance progress. A nation such as this will only self-destruct as it continues to leash and kill its prey. You said it all, brother. And Terry says Trump didn't throw a rock and hide his hand. No,
he just threw the rock. Yeah, he just threw the rock.
Right. And he hit his hand sometimes. Like, I didn't say that. But yeah. And Donovan says black people are politically immature. Yep. And Moni says the Major, I say it's time for you and Donovan to go on a beautiful cruise and to Hawaii and Montego Bay. You deserve it. You work hard. I appreciate you. Much Detroit love. I'd like to go back to Africa. That's the only place I'm trying to go to. Eventually I get to the other places, but I want to go to as many places in Africa as I can.
50 plus countries to explore.
Yes. And the pioneer says that Moni, it says 313, what up? No, okay. And Moni says Trump always threw a rock in his head, and I think he hit his hand. He did it when he was sued in 1960s when he denied people adequate and fair housing. He did it with the Central Park 5. Anybody that doesn't see this is crazy. Yeah, He lied about a lot of stuff. So yeah, he threw rocks. Abbott, how you doing? He says, black don't crack. You better believe it. And Mr. Fuclo says, black excellence must prevail in spite of racism, white supremacy, and whether or not we have any friends. I agree with you.
Absolutely. Like I said, and black people need to start standing up. You moms out there, stop telling your sons who are wreaking havoc in our own community to sit their asses down when it's time to stand up for what's right.
Oh, yes. And Moni says they always refer to her as somebody's person of color, right? And while I have no problem with anybody coming out as a mixed race, I've seen personally they never stand up for blacks ever fully, to be clear. Well, especially if they're in that arena, the political arena, they know they can't just, be a Adam Clayton Powell Jr. They can't be like that. That's why I say he was the last of a dying breed who was unapologetically black. And a lot of people, if you look at Adam Clayton Powell Jr., you would think he was white, but he was a black man. And Mr. Pyrebrain says, Donovan, why don't you put the spelling of your last name on the screen? I had to check so many spellings. Right, Donovan, you want these people to follow you, put your name up there.
No, I think the diaspora guy put it up there and he spelled it correctly. He's put YouTube and
well,
stuff.
That was so long ago. They want to see how they trying to find you, brother. Make it easy.
I have, but okay, I'll do it again.
Thank you.
It's FAADIQ, like the singer. But I'll put it up.
What if they ain't never heard that song before, huh? I want to get involved with you. What if they never heard that song before?
It never rains in Southern California? What?
Well, I'm saying that song,
yeah.
in that song, he spelled his name out.
Right. Okay.
with Q-tip. So anyway, and Armani says, now that we're in the month of May and it's the month of Taurus, you feel more and of grounding combined with that ox in China. Once again, it's Capricorn. One of the greatest leaders was Malcolm X. Absolutely. And you said you were a Chinese astrologer, right? If I'm not mistaken. And Robin says, I don't support Chameleon Harris either. She'll never get my vote. Every time I think of those black women locked up on truancy charges, pisses me off, to which she lied about, but we actually interviewed Cherie People. She was on the war zone with us. And she said, I was one of the women, the mothers that was locked up. So Kamala's lying. And Jonelle says, the people at the bottom of the Titanic didn't make it due to dependence. And we as a black nation would be wise to recognize this ship is in a state of sinking. And we must motion in a liberate state of mind of doing for self or be horizontal as this nation fell in Revelation 18:4. Yeah, that's a good example. The Titanic occupants were dependent, and a lot of them did not make it. Mr. Fuclo says the black church should reach out to heterosexual straight masculinity. You would think they would, but for some reason they don't. The choir directors always seems to be, y'all fill in the blanks.
Fruity.
See, I wasn't trying to go there, but oh my gosh, I lost my comment where I was at again. Let's see here.
You're on Terry Johnson. Sellers looks like he's trying to change. I was surprised to see him in North Carolina on the law team.
Got it. All right, I'm going to really get to these comments. Moni says, right here in Michigan, I contacted Cynthia Johnson, who is the state representative, known her over 20 years, to ask her if she could reduce cosmetology and barbering school clock hours, and she got rude. Yeah, I don't think they should reduce it, because I think people really should know what they are doing, because you're dealing with somebody's head, right? Everything is close to their head, including their brain. I used to have a cosmetology license. So, and he said, the pioneer said, Donovan, why would anyone, let alone her sorority, condemn the vice president for not saying her own country is a racist nation? I wouldn't expect her to condemn the very nation she is leading.
No, again, that's a good opinion. I'm not saying condemn. You can also put out a strongly worded letter to disagree or whatever. So, I mean, why is it that they can put out all the tricks to reword stuff and fool us, but when we are saying, hey, you need to say something in regards to that, oh, they have to be specific. I mean, we have to, play it the same way. Either you're going to play games with us or you're going to be straight with us. And that's all I'm saying. You don't have to condemn her. You can say, we strongly disagree with what so-and-so said. So there's a way to do it. These people are lawyers and educated, supposedly.
Right. And Moni says, Cynthia Johnson right here in Michigan as a state representative got rude and ghetto and indignant, and she forgot about the times when we supported her when they didn't want to be bothered with her no more. That's how they get up there. They can't smell themselves no more. And you also say he told us when he got in office that by 2030, Hispanics are going to be running the country and you would have to deal with them. That lets you know that when he wasn't going to do crap, let's be clear. Yep, said it right out of his mouth. And Sacks Up Your Life, how you doing? He says, blessings to you all. Someone mentioned Black Set Channel TV. Look, I looked it up, but can't find it. Yeah, I've never heard of it. And Mr. Pie Brain says, this is a call for our exodus. Let my people go. Yes, indeed. And Mona says, the one thing they become nervous of is when we talk about not voting. Is one thing when they try to take our vote and make it where you can't vote through voting registration, but say no vote for them. And I saw somewhere too where they're trying to legislate that you can actually get in trouble for trying to encourage people not to vote. So, and Mr. Fuclo says, one of the problems for Blacks is the Black middle class isn't an entrepreneurial class. No, that is the class that used to have the factory jobs and the government jobs. Say most employees that work for the government are, or Black people are most employed, I guess, to that degree at the federal level. So no, you're absolutely right.
And then since 2007, 2008, what middle class? Even white folks don't have middle class anymore. It's either have or have not. So if the white folks don't have it, Black folks definitely ain't got it.
Right. And Arson says, just to add my thoughts to what Donovan said about how many Black people wanted, quote unquote, the crime bill back in the 90s, I believe they knew how it would have turned out for the Blacks. But more importantly, who brought all this drugs in our hoods anyway? White supremacy is truly global. They put us in major trouble, then offer, quote unquote, us the solution. Yep. And the Pioneer says, maybe that's the issue. There are multiple Black agendas and thus too many confusing our people. Maybe the solution is to have only one or two solid agendas we all understand and get behind them. They all pretty much say the same thing. I promise you they do. And Marnie says, Blexit channel is something I wonder, Sister Demetra, if you would ever deal with Sister Julia, who's from the UK, where she tells it like it really is, and how they treat Blacks over in the UK. Amazing. I mean, I would love to see what she's about. I've never heard of her. And Robo Man, how you doing? He said, Donovan, we have a history of working for free, so politicians believe they should receive our votes for free.
Oh, absolutely. The NAACP also thinks we should work for free too.
Right.
Demetra.
Yeah, which is why we don't mess with them no more. And Terry, you say Tim Scott and them got security. Oh, yeah, for sure. You ain't getting nowhere near them. And the Pioneer says, at Mr. Pire Brain, do you think we as Afro-Americans are ready to be let go, quote unquote, and be independent? Look at our communities right now. Are we ready for self-governance? I would say the short answer is no, right? Long answer is yeah. Roboman says, even as we communicate, Africa is still giving France billions for absolutely nothing, and China.
Yeah, and the reason they're doing that, and this is one of the reasons why they keep Africa poor, because they're making Africans pay for their freedom, because they were former colonies, and so they just keep them poor and keep them poor and keep them poor. Robert Mugabe, one of the reasons why his country went basically into the tank. The United States, the World Bank, all of these people put sanctions on them to just destroy the agriculture and wait for them to feed themselves, or even to export goods so that they can help themselves out.
Yep. And I hope I said this right. Juggy Babu Vlog Life. How you doing? It says education free online, man. Yep. YouTube is a university. You can find whatever you want on YouTube. Go to school for free. Robert said Obama rejected Dr. Claude Anderson's reparation agenda. Dr. Claude Anderson is a scholar. Yes, indeed. He's been around. He actually worked with the Carter administration. So he's not new to this, right? And Andre, how you doing? He says, show me the money. Me too. And Marty says, you got different mothers, feel different ways. I came from a well-educated militant mother that told me to stand up and never kiss their behind, and I'll never do. Let's be clear, you have to demand respect. Yes, indeed. And Juggy,
I'm going to say this real quick, though. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that, Moni. Respect is earned, not given.
I mean, y'all saying the same thing. And Juggy says, free healthcare if you're a bum on food stamps. Well, there's a lot of people who are working and can't afford healthcare. Healthcare is very expensive if you have to buy it on your own. And so I believe free healthcare should be. Other countries do it, and their people are working. I mean, hell, they do. We talk about America that gives millions and trillions, probably trillions of dollars to every other country and everybody else. How is it that your own people don't have free healthcare? So I don't think free healthcare makes you a bum. I think it helps you make living easier, because there's a lot of people who are in debt. They're working and had a medical emergency, didn't have healthcare, and they're in debt because they had to, finance whatever it was medically. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't.
And think about the people who lost their jobs at no fault of their own. They have no medical care now. Demetra did on the African Diaspora News Channel, she did a story on a young lady here in California that went down to Mexico to get some procedures done. Could you elaborate on that for us real quick?
Yeah, she got some procedures done, but it was plastic surgery, so she didn't really need it. But she went over there because it was cheaper, and then she didn't make it back, to say the least. Y'all go to the African Diaspora News Channel and check that story out. So anyway, YouTube, how you doing? He says, these guys talk about Nicole Rotek and Erin Marie Ozoweski. Ooh, I know I told that up. Nurse whistleblowers expose medical doctors killing Black and brown patients in New York. I have to check that out.
But that's not new. They do that in the South. Look at the number 2 killing of Black people in the South is dental. Why are the Black people down there, their teeth are so bad? Dental.
Yeah, it's all about knowing. Educate yourself. It said free Obamacare, free Obama phone too. That didn't actually start on the Obama. That actually started under Bush. So it's a Bush phone. And YouTube, he says, that Juggy, why are you so insecure? Oh Lord. And then Moni says, at this point, I'm living for me. Whoever can accept me being in my feelings, I say it's time for them to be removed. No more begging these people or anyone else to accept you. Love yourself first. You better believe it. And Terry says everyone should have them books in their home. Yep, I agree. So that way you'll know.
Yeah, Demetra demanded that I have them in my house. So.
Absolutely. We can't be friends if you ain't got no knowledge coming in and out of your mind. And Sunlight says, did everyone know that Dr. Claude Anderson had a bus company in Salem, North Carolina, yet the HBCUs in North Carolina, he says, FIRE don't include Powernomics or any of his books in their curriculum. Not surprising at all.
Yeah, most HBCUs do not teach us our Black history. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, and yet his family had a bus company, and that's what he was saying. Like, they were trying to integrate onto the white bus companies, and they put the Black bus companies out of business. So he said we already had our own bus companies, and we, as Jonelle say all the time, fell for the illusion of inclusion. We just had to be on a buses. And Kiki says, to play devil's advocate, are people aware of how many civil rights leaders and activists have/had non-Black significant others? Just saying. Yes, I mean, so I agree with you. They have had Black other significant others or whatever. But then I guess that kind of goes back to the question we talked about the other day. Are you truly pro-Black if you are not with a Black significant other? Then because I don't really like to answer things that have a lot of questions too, but I also ask the other question, what are Black couples doing to help Black people? Because you can't just say I got a Black man or a woman and you ain't doing nothing to elevate your people. So it has to be something more than that. We just Black together. And Marty says, I guess it just depends on the city and the state. You may be right, but when you show up to their homes, their jobs, their family homes and jobs and schools, believe me, it sends a clear message. Yeah, I can see that, but you got to be careful because they are changing the laws. And you also say in Michigan, currently most of our senators, your state reps, you can get at them very easily if you do some minor research in terms of who their family is, and that sends a clear message. Donovan and his cats. And Kiki says Kamala just isn't for Black people, and I think she may have been that way. Her non-Black husband, I think she has some unresolved daddy issues. Yeah, she never talks about them, that's for sure. She Black, but don't talk about her Black daddy. And Sunlight says, did you know that? Okay, so you fix a Fayetteville, North Carolina is what you were trying to say. Okay. And Maury says in Michigan, most of our senators and your state reps, if you do your research, can find out who. Yep, I saw that. Are these comments repeating? They are. And Jonelle says, Black people have been programmed to select ignorance over intelligence, lies over truth, and not to think beyond the white miseducation. We think as the slaves, especially when it comes to God and religion, as given by our colonizers, our fighters against our own colonized minds. And that's why you have to house slaves saying there is no racism, working to water the grass of the docile-minded as biased police continue to kill us and biased judges give us zero justice. As Jesus said, the truth will set you free. And I can't see the rest of your comment. And Mr. Fugle, but absolutely. And Mr. Fugle just says, oops. I'm getting there. Why has the Black church ignored Dr. James Cone's Black theology and Black liberation theology. And I'm not really familiar with that. I don't know, but I would love to. I'm gonna write that down so I can be knowledgeable about that. Okay. And Terry says, what part of Africa? So what part? We went to South Africa, Johannesburg, to be exact. Had
and the Seychelles.
And the Seychelles, yes. And Moni, you say, I've seen on the channel today where a Texan fire chief said, let them all kill themselves, meaning blacks, and then gave a fake apology, yet he wasn't banned from Facebook. He should have been sued ASAP and fired. Well, he's just speaking for the rest of them. They all think like that. He just got caught, right? And yes, so Sadiq, Donovan Sadiq to be exact. So that's how you can find him on all platforms. And the Pioneer says, that's who I think about when I see the word Sadiq. Tony. Yes, Raphael Sadiq. He should have been my husband in the next life, but you know, he just he didn't want that, I guess.
Hey, Elder Barge better not find that out.
Yeah, right. I can't. Let me cool down a little bit. And the Pioneer says, I really have to watch what I say because even if you retract the comment, for some reason, they can still read it. Yeah, on this platform, they don't erase, but on Facebook and YouTube, you can delete them. And Pam is jamming. What's going on with you? He says, greetings, Demetra and Donovan. Gosh, I'm late again. Nah, that's okay. We still got minutes.
Yeah, you're never late. You could always do the broadcast on YouTube. So that's the good thing about that.
Yes, indeed. And Moni says, I will say it's not that they can't come out of many of them want to continue getting checks. That's why they won't speak up now when they could. If you're going out, go out with a bang. Let's be clear. Okay. Donovan said, this is why we have these great conversations with great people. Yes, indeed. And Randall, how you doing? He says, sorry, I'm late. No, you're not late. We're still here. And the Pioneer says that's one of the reasons they got rid of most of the manufacturing jobs in Detroit. The racists saw too many black folks buying houses and funding black businesses and moved the factory jobs overseas. Yep, because that's what kept the black community, the middle class, if you will, back then afloat, was able to send your kids to college. The mom was able to stay home. And yeah, things were better then. But you're right. That was the economic base of black communities.
Yeah, in the 1970s, they said, oh, we're only going to bring a few robots in. Now they brought all the robots in and there's no cars even being made up there. And now we have all these warehouses across the United States. And we're saying, oh, $15 an hour because black people are our young black people are going to go rush to get these jobs, right? But then AI, just like Andrew Yang said, is going to come over and take these jobs away from these young people. So generation, I think, Y is going to be out of work by the time they're 30 years old.
Yep. And Pam says, I'm done with all these no good politicians. The status quo has us messed up. We will bounce back. We are strong people. I agree. We are strong. We just need to get it together up here. And then the rest is easy, right? And Reggie, how you doing? He says, greetings, global black family. Greetings to you. And Moni says, when I said reduce it, I meant take it from 1,500 clock hours in cosmetology down to 1,000 hours like Texas has. It's no different. Like New York has 1,000 hours. It's no difference. Well, California has 1,600. That's where I got mine, 1,600 cosmetology hours in order to be licensed, because it's not just, and I know what you're saying, it's not just doing hair, like, okay, let me comb your hair, wash it. You got to know the bone placement in the scalp, the follicles, and what, the chemical reaction. So it's a lot, right?
Yeah, you got to take chem class and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot you have to do. And a lot of times, like, people are mad because states want hair braiders even to take some sort of a class or some hours. And I agree. I agree hair braiders should take some classes because, for one, a lot of women are running around here edgeless because they've done too tight. A lot of women are getting, traction alopecia. And then you should know how to wash your hands. You should know how to sterilize your tools. And, you can't be eating chicken and braiding hair at the same. Like, that's all the stuff people need to know, because you can cause somebody severe damage to their scalp if you don't know what there is to know. So, and
let me tell you, some of y'all take off those weaves you wear 24/7. There's heavy damage under some of y'all, not all of y'all, but a lot of them. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Donovan, show us your hair.
I used to have my Jermaine Stewart, long hair and flowing,
Yes, you did. You had that drip. Put a couple people eyes out. The Jerry Curl juice. And Marty says, currently in Michigan, they're trying to pass a bill as of the end of May to make it where you get cut off of unemployment and give you a one-time payment of $1,000 to go back to work. And he says, and something, I think it's a word you try to mash together. But yeah.
Mediocrity pay.
Mediocrity. Okay. Yeah, there's like, if I'm getting $300 extra a week plus whatever unemployment benefits I'm getting. And, my Shanae, y'all remember Shanae on Martin? She was calculating. They want me to go back to work for $7.25 an hour. You got me messed up.
And guess who's pushing that bill? Remember that millionaire that was on TV? He was outraged that people won't go back to work for minimum wage. He was outraged. I mean, his whole cap was coming off.
Yeah, because people are also learning how to work the stock market and just hustling for themselves. But yeah, once you get that kind of money, like I just can't see going to Taco Bell for 8 hours. And then no, I can't do it. No, I'm not gonna do it, right? And let's see here. All right, so I'm getting to the end of these comments here. And the Pioneer says in the late 70s, as you can find soul food joints and other Black businesses on every block in Detroit. By the mid 80s, most of them were gone. And today you have even fewer in a city that's 80% Black. Yeah, gentrification.
And 40% of Black businesses will never come back due to the pandemic. And Robin Cooper says, how many cats do you have, Donovan? I have 3 cats, a tuxedo, black and white, a black cat, that's a Pharaoh, and a Thai cat, which is kind of Siamese looking, and 1 dog.
That's the killer cat. And the Pioneer says that money. And how long do they think that $1,000 is going to last? And right, that's supposed to be an incentive. Like, I'm still not going back, okay?
Wait a minute. Y'all didn't have a problem with the $1,300 Trump gave you.
Yeah, but they're talking about the $1,000 for you to go back to work and to get cut off of unemployment. They're that now. Who is going to do that? Because they know too, you can go anywhere now, especially like these retail and fast food joints. They got for hire signs everywhere. Ain't nobody trying to go back and do that. And Kelvin's choice, how you doing? He says, are people like style over substance? Yep, consumers over being producers. And Mona says, not only want you to work non-paying jobs, they are lie and say that it's many jobs here in Michigan where most of them think they're doing you a favor if they offer you temporary 10 to 12 an hour. Like in Texas, it's $7.25 an hour.
Well, what about these jobs that require a master's degree and pay you between $11 and $12? What kind of crap is that?
Yeah, that's like, I'm gonna stay on this unemployment until the wheels fall off. Okay, and that's what a lot of people are saying. And you also say which $1,000 one-time payment is not going to last, but they claim that many restaurants want people to feel it, and they think you're getting $450 every 2 weeks, total $900. Why people don't want to work? Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. You also say Sister Julia deals with Phil Scott. He was on her show last Friday, when everything was temporarily canceled. You can look her up. She's very wonderful. She lives in Gambia. Okay, I did see her. Okay, says she lives in Gambia. I would love, love her on your show. I think what you're trying to say. Okay, I know you're talking about that. And Pam says, I reviewed the program, but I love hearing y'all live and engaging in the conversation. Well, we love having you here too, but we're still here. And Paid in Full, how you doing? He says, where is the Chucks and Pearl squad at? They've been awfully quiet. Listen, we need to put an APB out on them. They're missing.
Bolo. Put a bolo out.
They could have been body snatched. Some aliens might have sucked them up. We got to find them. I'm concerned.
I mean, I can't even see them out there marching in the streets. They're not even strolling to the polls. I mean, where's all this?
Yeah, they're not doing
the miles this week.
No electric slide nowhere, and the wobble they just missing. I'm concerned. And the Pioneer says, Moni, the Republicans are cold-blooded racists who only care about making money, not people's health over lives. They want to open up, quote unquote, everything, not caring about spreading COVID. Right. Let's open the economy. Right. That's how that's working out. Right. And Terry says, what, yo? And then Moni says, respect, Donovan, is not only given, but it's earned when you start to love yourself and you're not dependent and worried about what another man or woman has to say. That's how I was raised. And this is true. Yep. And
we're on the same boat. We're on the same boat then.
Mm-hmm. And the Pioneer says, Demetra, I agree, since they need to make sure people learn proper hygiene as barbers and beauticians. However, we know the real reason for most of these requirements is to limit Black businesses. Yeah, I agree. But if you really want to do something, just go get it, because you know you're gonna make way more money if you good, especially in the cosmetology industry. Listen, sisters especially, that's where we spend the most money is on our hair. But I'm telling you, I'm not saying it to be a jerk. It took me 9 months to finish my 1,600 hours, but I do things quickly because I don't like to be I'm away and take two. I finished my master's in 11 months. So I just tend to get things over with, but I think people should learn how to do that. I mean, how many times have you seen somebody doing some hair and they eating and then they doing your hair too? They drop the comb and they pick it off the floor. You ain't supposed to do that. You're supposed to put it back in the barber saw and get a new comb. How many times have you gone to somebody's house or shop and they using the same comb that they use on somebody else's hair? How they know they ain't got impetigo or some dandruff is contagious? People don't know that. How do you know they don't have some issue in their scalp and they parting your hair? And a lot of times when people part your hair, they can cut your scalp open, cut up in the pores, and now they're transferring what was on the last client's skin, DNA, into your scalp. And then you end up bald-headed, and then it's a nightmare. So that's why
Wait. We're talking about DNA being transferred. So when you get that Indian weave and you put it on top of your head, and you got maybe a sore in your head, isn't that transferring DNA too? I'm just saying from your professional opinion.
Yes, but that hair is supposedly cleaned and sanitized, I'm imagining.
Okay.
And Monty says, please make sure you tell the man that has the toothpaste to come up with chocolate. I'm going to tell him. And cucumber. Well, I think you can send him a message. Cucumber, melon flavor, and banana flavor, which is something that no other toothpaste company is in stores. Now, I'm telling you, I will eat it if he does, right? And let's see here. Leather and Luxury Car says, take that $1,000 and start a business. I started my business with $40. What kind of business you got? I'm assuming it has something to do with leather and luxury cars, but what kind of business do you have? I'd like to put it up here. And the Pioneer says, they want you to go back to some of these jobs to experiment and work for 3 weeks until there is an outbreak. Half of the people get sick and they have to close down again. Stupid. Yeah, exactly, right? And Mr. Fuclo says black theology.
Yeah. Have you guys been watching what's going on in India?
Exactly. They tried to open up, right? And Pam says, laugh out loud. I've been an essential worker since the pandemic started. Stimulus checks came in handy. Yeah, especially if you was already working, right? It was like, let's go and put that in the bank.
Yeah. But like I said, other countries are getting it monthly. They gave us $1,300. And people went almost a year without any help. And what do they say? Keep 6 months of savings. How many people have 6 months of savings left now? I mean, they pretty much wiped out the average person.
They have. And Honeydew, how you doing? He says, hey, y'all. He says, New Jersey giving 12 credits free each semester for junior college. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, get started somewhere, right? And Terry says, most temps in South Carolina, $16 to $20 an hour. Wow, that's good. But temps, so imagine what they'd be making on a full-time basis, right? And the Pioneer says, yeah, I did see Demetri on African Diaspora show the other week. Sister Queen is all over the place. Yes, I am all over the place trying to make an impact. But yeah, you guys, if you haven't already, I know most of you guys have. If you haven't already, go to the African Diaspora News channel and the African Diaspora News Insider and subscribe. Our dear brother Phil Scott has created a platform so that we can get all the information that the regular media is not going to show us, right? So please go over there and check it out. And Moni says, some of my favorite books in those are as written by John Henry Clark. Very wonderful writer. I really miss him. He gave a lot of knowledge that is still happening now today, and he's been gone for over 20 years. Absolutely. I actually referenced him at the beginning of the show in that we have no friends. And he lectured a lot about us having no friends. And he also said, in Michigan, our governor proposed well over $50 million to help people to get community college and to actual university, but will not prescribe money for vocational school training, which is dumb. That's where the middle class will be built back up, is with the vocational training and jobs. So he needs to do that. And the Pioneer says they're doing hair and talking on the phone, holding it against their shoulder and limiting their arm mobility, increasing the risk of mistake and injury to your scalp. Yeah, absolutely. All of that is going on. Like, just do my hair, right? You can talk to Ray after you done. Just finish my hair. I ain't trying to be here for 20 hours with you. Sound like some personal stuff, huh? And Leather Electric Cars says traveling automotive repair company, Primetime Automator. Let me put that up there. Primetime Automotive Repair Inc. I have my website finished. Takes He said you will have. It takes a little time since I'm doing all the work myself, but it's worth it. Are you doing it on Wix? That's where I did mine. I actually have a company myself. I rarely talk about it. I should, but it's DemetraK.com, where I teach people how to better appeal to their audience visually or verbally. Everybody has an audience. I don't care who it is. If you're a salesperson, you're a teacher, you're interviewing for a position, or you want to start your own podcast or live stream, you might need to know how to do that. And so I teach people how to do that. We meet here on StreamYard behind closed doors, if you will. Doesn't go live. It's just us two, and we go over certain things on how to help you better relate to your audience. And so, but I built my own website as well. It wasn't easy, but once I got the hang of it, I was like, okay, I can do this. So, but that is the website if you are interested. And let's see here. The Pioneer says, what are they doing? Actually been doing for the past 30 years. It's bringing in millions of immigrants to replace Americans who are too sick or dead to work. That's how they keep the economy going. They're actually coming to replace Black people. That's who they're actually coming to replace. And Lamarcus, what's going on? He says, what up, King and Queen? Everything. We about to get out of here, actually. And Moni says, Donovan, can you tell me what it's like in Johannesburg? Every time I ask someone when they go to Africa, can you take your insurance such as Blue Cross Shield? I never get an answer. It's like, why?
Well, here's the thing. Your insurance over there is no good when you go overseas like that. It's usually nullified depending on what country you're in. Because you got to remember, though, most of those countries have universal health care. So if something does happen to you, you will be taken care of. Now, if you're in a depressed country, I wouldn't expect American type, medical, they're going to do what they can for you, but it also depends on what country you're in. But like I said, if you went to Germany or you went to Japan and you got sick, they have universal health care. You shouldn't have any issues and any problem. And guess what? When you come back to the United States, a bill won't be following you. So you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, once I went to Mexico years ago, Cabo San Lucas, and my daughter got injured on a jet ski. And I paid for it out of pocket. It wasn't too expensive for the doctor to actually come to the hotel and tend to her because she got punctured by the jet ski, got ran into deep hole, will not stop bleeding, came and, sutured her up and everything right there in the room. Wasn't too expensive, but I was like, I don't care what it costs. I want my child to be well. We had insurance, but, over there, it was just easier to pay for it out of pocket. And Pam says, I binge watched Demetra on African Diaspora News Channel. I will be making a playlist. I appreciate that. And Terry says, that's how I just found y'all on the African Diaspora News Channel. Yes, indeed. Y'all see me over there a lot. And Paid in Full says, anybody or pre-order Bug Breaking by brother Tariq Nasheed is #1 selling on Amazon. Big ups to Big Bro on Amazon job. I'm waiting for mine now. Go get it. Yes, you know what? I actually was on there early this morning. And I didn't have my credit card information. I was like, I'm not getting out of bed, but I am going to order this. About what I think comes out to $34 or so with shipping. But I've been hearing a lot of rave reviews. I promise y'all, I am going to get it. And I will give you guys my review. I don't know how long it'll take, but whenever I get it, I'm going to watch it and I'm going to do a review on it. But it's buck breaking. And, you guys can assume what it's about from that title. But yes, I will be getting that. And yes, do support that because it's important. Tariq Nasheed has been in the game a long time, putting us on game with his Hidden Color series and, all of those things. So yeah, check it out. And Marty said, Demetra Donovan, can you tell me what part of it? Okay, so you got that already. Africa, he says, if yes, it does have 4 seasons. I can't stand it.
Yeah. The Central Africa, Congo, Uganda, and those places. That's where you want to go. Central Africa. That's where you want to go.
Yeah, they have 4 seasons. They're different than ours, rather. They don't take place at the same time. And Terry says, barbershop, same way. Some people can't cut and talk. Yeah, just you there to work. Just get off the phone. And Lamarcus, he said Ghana. And the Pioneer says, Moni, probably South Africa is going to be the closest African nation to having 4 seasons. Yep. And I'm not even sure of that. Most Saharan nations have rainy and non-rainy seasons left. Allah, yes. South Africa, Johannesburg, they do have 4 seasons. We went, it was their spring.
Yeah, the spring. They were just about, it was the end of summer. It was fall.
End of summer. Yeah, so it was fall. It was beautiful. You could wear anything, right? It was nice weather. And Lamarcus says that movie is good. And Mr. Fuclo says, politically, Blacks should have no permanent friends or permanent enemies, only a permanent interest. The same applies when dealing with non-Black groups. Yep. And Moni says, yeah, you always have to know your anatomy. I am a licensed manicurist. Oh, see, there you go, 30 years. So I do understand that practice. I think ours should be lowered like it is in Texas, New York, New Hampshire, and New Jersey. And the Pioneer says, not to sound pessimistic, but what's with this, we say the Rona situation, and especially what's happening in India, you shouldn't place too much confidence in any economic or business plan until.
Well, I will say this real quick. There's always something that will always sell, even when corn and cotton won't.
Shut up, Donovan. I ain't even gonna tell y'all what he's talking about. Yeah, nobody really knows what's going on with this Rona. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. The jab is effective one day and the next day is not. So I just stay here, y'all. I'm at the house until further notice. But anyway, I can't believe it. We are at the end of these comments. And so I want to thank you guys for being here. I want to thank Donovan for being the co-host for this. Ooh, did 2 hours. 2 hours. It has been a pleasure. I also thank Marcus Guyton for everything he does behind the scene and making the show go further. Thank you to YouTube and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You guys make this so much more fun. And Marine, how you doing? Marine Sammy says, is she talking? Yes, you know he was talking about the pee. That's why I was like, Donovan ain't got no sense. And Lamarcus says, what's the product behind your head? That is Black-owned toothpaste company, Prodent Max. Natural, no fake ingredients, no fluoride, and it tastes very good. It keeps your mouth feeling fresh all day long. I put the link in the description box if you're interested in checking it out. I love it. Donovan loves it. My daughter loves it. And everybody else who has it, they love it. And it lasts a long time. I just want to tell you that. All right. And the Pioneer says, I'm a man. I know what Donovan is talking about. At least what I want, regardless, is happening. Yes. Bye, Pam. You have a great week as well. Thank you to the Pioneer Dynamic Duo. Yes, we are. We're going to change our name to 5150, the crazy code for California, because I'm 50 and Donovan will be 51 next Sunday, Mother's Day. And Honeydew says, you didn't get a notification? Oh, wow. I think you got to click the bell or something. I'm kind of...
you click the bell to be sure, but there is a big shadow ban on the new Black media across all spectrums. And so... they will remove you from a notification. So it's really up to you to really kind of double check and make sure you get the notifications every now and then.
All right. So we are out of here, you guys. And again, if you guys feel the need to do so, I have a Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal. Every little bit helps Black media to continue, because it does cost us a little something to keep this up and running. But we appreciate those of you guys who have contributed and continue to contribute. You have been a blessing, and we thank you so much for that. Here on the Demetra K Show, 5150. Yes, peace to you, Jonelle. Yes, Donovan does look good for his age. So you guys, we will talk to you guys. We'll see you actually on the War Zone tomorrow. It's supposed to be Man Cave Monday. They're supposed to be talking about something, about some housewives and some hoes, y'all. I'm gonna abstain from that conversation. So anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys be good and be safe.